There's something going on with, well, the metaphysical writer Stuart Wilde, God, it must have been 30 years ago, wrote a book, The Whispering Winds of Change. And he predicted that in the future, that was now, it would be now, that the world ego would appear. So it wasn't individual egos, but it was the ego of the collective consciousness of humans. Well, pretty much experienced that world ego again today. It usually comes in the form of overregulation. So today I went to the lab to get my blood tested, and I had all the forms the doctor gave me, 2 paper printouts. Number 1, why is it today that you have to take a paper printout from your doctor's computer to the lab to get your blood analyzed? Why isn't it all electronic? We were supposed to have the paperless office way back in the 1980s, and it gets worse and worse. Anyway, I got there, and the girl at the desk insisted that this paperwork, the same paperwork that I've been using for years, is no good anymore. And then she had to call the doctor, and I'd have to sit and wait. She called the doctor, and no one had picked up at the doctor's office. And then she looked at me, and she told me that. And I reminded her, for years I've been coming here and I've been using these forms. Nothing has changed. Oh, we've changed our policy. And I looked at her, and she kept looking at me like, I said basically, what the hell do you want me to do, lady? I don't have another form from the doctor. You can't get a hold of my doctor. You're pissing me off. I know you didn't implement this policy. But I said to her, put up your hand and call your supervisor. And she looked at me again, and I said, you better call your manager and tell them you've got an irate patient and you're going to have an irate doctor. Do you want all the patients to come in here and get angry at you at the desk because all of the patients asking for this blood work, the whole policy and procedure has changed since the last time they were here? Do you want to deal with that? No, you don't. You better get a hold of your manager right away and say, we have a problem with this new procedure. Well, I sat down and she called, and lo and behold, the manager said, make a photocopy of one of the copies of the stuff that you've got, staple it all together, and you'll be fine. The moral of the story is the world ego. And it's not just this particular lab. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go, you are being regulated. You are being watched. Edward Snowden told you, you are being watched. Your phone is being listened to. Your text messages are being looked at. You have got spyware everywhere. I was just in Walmart and they were filming me at the checkout. Strangely, what they were filming was my face. They weren't filming down where, the scanner is, where I'm scanning the items to go into the bag, to go into my push cart to take out. Why don't you film what I'm scanning to see if I'm doing it legally or I'm doing it honestly? No, they're filming my face. Why? The world ego is coming out, and it is ugly. Everyone knows that personal egos are horribly ugly. But the world ego is coming, and it's been around for a long time. It's just everywhere. Where do you want to go from this? Do you want to go to China's social credit, where the government evaluates you on your behavior? I mean, it sounds great in principle. I mean, if there's some nasty ego people, they're going to get poor social credit. The downfall of it is it's open for great abuse. And when the government starts telling you, you're not allowed to leave your house, well, the government is a soulless thing telling you, a souled individual, what to do. It's wrong. It's wrong, and that's the way it's going. You got artificial intelligence bots that are calling you. I got robocalls coming every day, marketing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There is no decorum. It is going to hell in a handcart. So what is supposed to happen? According to Stuart Wilde, there's going to be a great renewal. And what's going to happen is people's egos are going to come out on display. And basically, it's going to be ego versus ego, the battle of hard knocks. Your enormous ego bouncing off of other enormous egos. And the idea that David Wilcock said in his YouTube last week was it's to soften you up. It's basically taking your rough edges off, softening you up so that you can let go of your nastiness. I saw a good explanation of what ego is. In the Course in Miracles, the ego is known as your sense of being a separate self with a separate body. I read yesterday, ego meant edging out God. And that is truly a good description. Because you yourself, although you appear to be separate in a separate body, you're connected by consciousness to everyone else. But no one tells you this in school, so everyone walks around thinking it's my car, my house, my dog, my wife, my children, etc., etc. And it's edging out the fact that no, your ego is something you learned. It's not even a real thing. I mean, it's given legal status, you as an individual being, but you aren't individual. It's an illusion. It's a huge illusion. And that is what happens. All of your ego's bad traits, me, it's all mine. So, as I said a long time ago in another video, everything you learned about in kindergarten, about sharing with the other children, as an adult, you have had eradicated from your system, and you've turned into a nasty beast. And it's all because of this ego edging out God. And the idea is there is higher consciousness that was very kind and will run you and everyone else so that you get what you need, and so will they. You only have to connect to it, which means you have to be willing to surrender your sense of separateness, surrender your sense of everything is for me, and everything I do is for me, and everything I've ever earned is mine. No one really wants to give these up, because then you're out on the street with nothing. So it's the catch-22. So what's the advantage of letting go of your ego? In a world full of egos, you have nothing but war. You have nothing but people grinding you for more and more money. And it's misery. It's misery, and you wonder why there's so much disease and depression. It's because humans are not meant to live like this. This is a horror story of a planet, the way things are, with a billionaire class that owns everything, and the rest of us, we keep paying the rent. So how is it going to go? According to Stuart Wilde, with the Great Renewal, you have to really work on becoming gentle. So how does that work? Well, you have to have soft eyes for other humans even when they're nasty. Did I do that today at the lab? When I first went to the desk, yes. But when I started feeling exasperated by their new policy, what did they see? Well, I said the word bullshit. This is bullshit. And after, the girl said, you shouldn't swear. Is bullshit a swear? If bullshit is at the point of a swear, it's basically her ego getting, I got you. You shouldn't swear. No profanity allowed. Seriously. No, what has to happen is you have to set your boundary. And if you set your boundary as I did, as in, you want me to go out the door and go back to the doctor and figure out what form you need? I should have said F you, but I didn't. I said this is bullshit. But so when you set your boundary, are you allowed to be loud and get in people's faces? You have to follow what follows naturally. Perhaps you'll be quiet as a church mouse and just look at them and stare, as in, duh. Or you might have to use words. I've found quite a few times that I do get loud and in people's faces, and it's usually because I say, I know you're a frontline employee, you never made this policy, but you're going to feel the wrath that comes from this policy. So you have two choices. You can sit there and shiver as I unload on you, or you can pick up the phone, because they never have a manager standing there. The manager is always 3 cities away. You can pick up the phone and call your manager right now and say, I've got an irate customer here, and the customer is justified in being irate. What are you going to do about it? And I keep saying that. It's like, you're going to get not only me yelling at you, but plenty of other people because of this stupid policy that you didn't institute. You've got one choice. You can go and bitch at your manager and say, manager, you fucked up with this new policy, and I'm getting the brunt of it, and I don't like it. So I want you to hear about it, because I want you to change it and stop making stupid things like this. In other words, you've got nothing to do but sit on your ass and come up with new regulations. Everything is about more regulations, more paperwork, in order to justify your existence. That's all it is. I had to do something today, so I made a new policy to change everything up. Human egos, because they're all afraid that someone's going to come along and say, we don't need you anymore. Which is true. We don't. We don't need you. We don't need all this management layers, but they have to justify themselves because they have to pay the outrageous prices that we pay for cars, houses, etc., etc. So it's a huge catch-22. I have to justify my job. I got to do shitty things, and round and around. How do we let go of all this? You keep setting boundaries. You keep enforcing your boundaries. I will not be treated this way. I'm a human being, and you're treating me like, what the hell is this? I will not be treated this way. And it doesn't matter who it is. I will not be treated this way. If you don't have common courtesy for me, then fuck you. You know, get your head examined. What's wrong with you? That's what I've said to some of these people. You have got something wrong deep inside of you. When was the last time you looked in the mirror? Why are you being such a stupid shit? And usually they have no answer. Because they are talking directly from the ego, not the soul. The soul is nothing but love. The ego is nothing but hate. And I call them on their hate. I say, why do you hate me? There's no answer. It's simply the nature of the ego to hate everything. Why does the ego hate everything? It's because it's separate. It's separate. It wants a separate existence. It can't have it. So it gets angry. It starts pouting like a little 2-year-old child. And says, if I can't have what I want, I'm going to be miserable, and I'm going to take it out on you. So, if enough of us get sick of dealing with other egoic humans, the only thing you can do is work on your own ego. That's the only one, because you start working on other people. I mean, all you can do is set your boundary with them. You can't change them. You can give them hints and allegations, but whether they pick up your hints and allegations, usually they don't. But if you let go of your own ego, you will find you are guided. And usually what happens is the spirit or the soul will enforce the boundaries. And you might appear to be an asshole to some people, but it's necessary. It's necessary in order to get other people to drop their egoic nastiness. It's the only way. They're going to have to keep bouncing off of other apparent egos. Was it my ego? No. It's totally the spirit that does it. A long time ago, I had a nasty ego. I did. I was as nasty as anybody. I still appear nasty, but it's not me. It's the spirit enforcing boundaries. Because I know what I want. I don't want an egoic world. I want a world of kindness. I want to get rid of the money system. Money is a control structure. It is to control you. We don't need this. People say people won't do certain jobs if they're not paid. Yes, they will. They will do it because out of their love for other people, they will do these things. They'll do it because of the spirit running them has them doing it. How far away are we from this? Stuart Wilde predicted there was going to be enormous upheavals on the planet. Enormous upheavals. And he predicted supernatural help. Are we getting supernatural help? It doesn't appear to be supernatural on the surface, but we sure are seeing a lot of kingpins in the billionaire class really getting hammered. So you had Epstein, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump. Now we have Benjamin Netanyahu, the long-term prime minister asshole of Israel, being indicted for all kinds of nastiness. So we are seeing these things. It's just that there are so many others that are willing to step up once these ones fall. How far off are we? We'll have to keep watching. But this is what is really going on. It is the egos of individuals and the world ego coming up for us to look at, be very, very scared of, and then we're going to say, well, I don't want any part of this, so I'm going to... you have to drop your ego. You have to surrender your ego to spirit or to your soul and say, I can't handle a world of egos like this anymore. It's scary. There's horrible, horrible things that keep coming up. 5G networks that people say are going to fry your skin. Poisoned food, chemtrails, the Georgia Stones. Where does it end? If you don't want to live in that world and you don't want your children and grandchildren to live in that world, you have to surrender your ego. And then the spirit won't make your life easy, but you will be guided through the rest of your life. Trust me, it does guide me. And my life is not easy. It is really no different than what it was before. But it is on a mission. It has a purpose. And my purpose is as the spirit wants me to do. And it is pretty well to interact with egoic people and be their mirror. And not, not their bitch. And these egos don't like it. How else are you going to wake up someone that's hiding behind the ego mask? You're going to have to make them miserable. Miserable enough for them to really say, this is not working for me. I feel sick. Who are they going to turn to? Oh, they go to the doctor. That's why doctors' offices are jammed. Doctors' offices are jammed because egoic people are getting sick. And there's no solution for them because it's a spiritual sickness. And you can't take a pill for it or have an operation for it. Although there's plenty of things that are, they'll give you all kinds of x-rays and, a million pills because you keep going and they make profit off of it. They love you to show up. But it's not going to solve your problem. It's a world problem. A world problem, and all you can do is you're on your own is surrender your ego. How do you surrender your ego? Well, you just have to have the intention every day is I don't want to be this egoic thing. And then what? Well, then you have to meditate, which is about quieting your mind, because your mind is full of thoughts that are all about ego. And you have to learn to discern all this stuff that's ego. And you are going to have to do some energy work, because you're going to have to start handling nasty energies. That's what it comes down to. It's not just the words that are expressed by ego. Even me, I sense these things. You feel them, you sense them, you get them in your body. Your body picks up on really horrible, weird feelings. And what do you do with them? You have to tolerate them, because basically what happens, instead of you acting on these nasty thoughts, you don't, but you still feel the thoughts, and there's a lot of energy, nasty energy associated with these thoughts. And you have to just be and wait for it to dissipate. And sometimes it takes hours for this nasty, icky, horrible feeling to dissipate. Sometimes you get heart palpitations. It's like, and people go to the doctor. You don't need to go to the doctor. Well, I shouldn't tell you that, but I don't, because I've been through it long enough. I know they come and go. Maybe I will, but no, it is an energy thing. And if you don't submit to being nasty the way these energies want you to be, the energy will dissipate. That's what energy work is all about. That's what alchemy is all about. It is you changing reality by refusing nasty energies, going, what the hell is this that I'm feeling right now? Breathing, grounding yourself. It's not easy. It's not easy, and the spirit doesn't do the work for you. You do it by just being there, and it's not necessarily pleasant at all. Who else is going to do it? Hopefully a lot of the people will start doing it. But in the meantime, a small minority of people are doing the energy work on the planet. Everyone else is benefiting from it. They'll never know. They'll never know. Because a small group of people cannot change all the rest of these humans. The rest of these humans are going to have to go through the school of hard knocks for a very long time until I think the spirit is giving people information. If people don't want to pick up on it because they prefer their ego, then they're going to keep getting hit in the head by other egos. Keep hitting other people's boundaries. People are becoming aware of narcissism, psychopaths, etc., because they've been through these horrible relationships. And they go on the internet and they look, and that's what comes up. So, the spirit, I think it's going to let people know one way or another that it's all about ego, and it's all about looking at yourself. And where am I a narcissist? Am I a narcissist? Yes. You can't not be a narcissist while you're in a human body. Not to the same extent as, the billionaire class, but you have to look out for yourself. In other words, you know that the body has to have food and shelter and heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer. It has to have water. So the basic necessities of life, I'm calling those narcissistic. Because in this world, you have to pay for all these things. And if you demand these things from others who have them, and they've got their hand out, you got to pay me, and you look at them, you say, I have to have it. And they're going, where's your money? To these people that have their hand out, you appear to be a narcissist because you're asking for all this stuff. What's narcissistic about it? You're looking after a body. So they're going to say, well, you're all about you. And it's not that you're about you, it's about you have a body and it has to be looked after. And society won't look after it for you. The social security system is not working. Homeless people everywhere, food banks everywhere. It is not working. So you have to be, I don't do it actively, it is done. And I look at it in the mirror and I say, this looks like, you are being a narcissist getting the things that you need for the body, but it's not really. If we can get beyond the world ego, get rid of money and capitalism, and we all start working under the direction of the spirit, well, there's your paradise, but we have a long way to go. So if I appear to be an asshole to you, it is because you have to be a bit of an asshole in order to survive on this planet at the current time. To get to the point where we don't appear as assholes, we have to let go of the ego. That's your update. I'm Harry Weaver.